Alright, so right now I am on my I'm on my virtual environment right here. I am in my project's root level directory where manage.py lives, and I'm going to change directory into our project's configuration directory, which has our settings.py file. I'm going to open that up. I think I have Notepad++ available on command line. There we go. And I just kind of want to talk through this real fast. Alright, so the first thing it does, it imports the OS. You don't really need to know about what the OS module does. This base directory is this link of chained function calls, which is what? So we have one function call there. os.path.absolute_path, it takes file as a parameter. We have os.path.dirname, which takes whatever this interior function call evaluates to, and then this final one on the outside, os.path.dirname, that again takes whatever this evaluates to. So what this really means is our project's, if I could type, our project's root level directory, and again that's where manage.py lives. We'll put that down one line just because. Alright, so we're going to use this in the future, base_dir variable, and all that means is the base_dir variable equates to our project's root level directory. One cool thing about Django and their configuration settings is they have all sorts of resources already linked for you. So you can click on this right here, and it's going to bring up your deployment checklist and give you all sorts of different cool information. We're not going to worry about that right now. Secret key, you don't really have to worry about this. Pretty much is just a key that allows it to handle like session variables and allows it to check cross-site reference attacks and whatnot. You don't have to do anything with this if you're not deploying to the web. Debug is true. This is going to give us our debug menus. If you set this, you can set this to false, and you won't get a debug menu at all. If you're deploying deploying an app, you should set this to false. Otherwise, you're going to have all sorts of sensitive information pushed out in your debug menu anytime something goes wrong. Allowed hosts, we're going to leave this to blank. Installed apps, anytime we add, so I'm going to add this comment right now, our apps. So anytime that we add a new app, create a new app for our project, we're going to add it to our installed apps. That way when we run our Python manage.py migrate commands, what it's really doing is going in this installed apps and it's checking each one of these apps for any type of new migration file. So if our brand new app that we just coded and put all this time and effort into isn't in this installed apps, you're never going to see anything happen with it. Alright, middleware you don't need to worry about. Root URL, conf configuration you really don't need to worry about at all. This is just saying where is the very first, so the very first URL configuration file Django will check. And we will get into that when we start getting into the URLs. But right now we know it's in tutorial.urls, and this is our configuration level configuration directory urls.py file. So the urls.py file that lives in the same exact directory as this settings.py. Alright. Templates, we are going to do some stuff with here, mainly with this DIRS, which stands for directories. You want to make sure this appdirs is set to true. It should default as true. And I'm going to get more into what we're going to do with these two here once we start doing some stuff with templates. You don't really need to worry about this WSGI application unless you're deploying to a server. Databases. So if you go to this link, alright, here, let me pull this up. you'll see all sorts of information on Django databases. So say in your project you want to use a MySQL database. You can definitely do that, and here's your syntax for doing so. You know, your engine, or this is actually Postgres, but it's pretty much the same. You would just change your engine to a MySQL as opposed to Postgres. So you can specify your own database to use. However, Django comes pre-packaged using SQLite 3. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of background on SQLite 3 here. I'm running a little bit long on this video, so I'll try to make this short. So here's your documentation for SQLite, which is already running on our program here, our Django project. So when to use SQLite. Let's see this. Maybe it's under frequently asked questions. Nah. Just one second. There was something I found. Okay, so right here for websites. So SQLite works great as a database for most low to medium traffic websites. And the amount of web traffic that SQLite can handle depends on how heavily the website uses database. Generally speaking, any site that gets fewer than 100,000 hits per day should work fine on SQLite. I encourage you, if you want the experience, to use MySQL, to use Postgres, to use some other type of database. However, SQLite 3 is going to be more than capable of handling your entire project, as well as if your project blows up to some super viral thing. Chances are, at 100,000 hits per day, you're going to be safe still using SQLite 3. Alright, password validation I'm not going to go into. That's just kind of some back-end magic that Django does to make sure when I log in to the admin panel, my username and password matches, and that when I create a new user, that I have a secure enough password. For example, if I create a new user with the username as username and the password as password, Django's going to be like, no, that's way too generic. You're going to have to change that up. We're not going to accept that. You can change your language code if you want. You can change the time zone. And static files, we're going to get more into that once I start going over the static file. So this is your just introduction to the settings.py file. We're going to be modifying this a little bit as we go, and we'll talk about it as we do it.